everybody. Welcome to TraderMerlin Show. It's your Friday, the only day I'm broadcasting this week. Hope you all had a fantastic week. I enjoyed my time up in NorCal, as you can tell by the visuals there. I did a little graphic from Shoreline Amphitheater where, surprisingly, not doing a market update, by some miracle, Fish actually pulled off the concert, which, for those of you who understand what happened, there was a massive fire in Lake Tahoe area, and the concerts I was supposed to go to got canceled, and conveniently enough, they ended up redoing those concerts at Shoreline Amphitheater for 2 great nights. So I had a fun time, and here we are back in Southern California to get involved with the markets. Now, a real quick shout out to Landis, or we'll call him Kim, from Singapore for sending me this beautiful bottle of Hitori Japanese whiskey. This is like one of the nicest bottles I've had. It's got etched tops on it and everything. So cheers, helping make my Friday even better. Cheers to all of you out there. Hope you had a great trading week, especially for those of you holding the crypto. It's been a dang good week. All right, let me get a sip of this wonderful Japanese whiskey and we'll get things rocking. All right, well, I can see we're going to have a very small group today. I guess taking a week off scares a lot of people away. We'll do the most of it. So good to see you, Lufthansa, Big Eb. Yes, a small amount of Merlin time this week. Chris, sorry I didn't get a chance to make it up and visit you, bud, but was moving too quick. As you know, those power trips I get there. Yowza, good to see you, Katut, John, and Zach. Am I yellow today? Am I yellow? All right, so let me start things off. I want to go through and just talk about overall sectors. This is Suntory. It's actually it's a Suntory whiskey by Hibiki. Is that the one? Right there. Suntory whiskey. Kind of hard to see with the green screen in the background, but it's good. Yeah, it is kind of Scotchish. Tasty, though. I like it. Okay, I meant to do this at the end of the month, but obviously we are in a new month now. We're in September, which, by the way, historically, going back into the 1950s, I believe, is the worst performing month of any month of the S&P 500, eking out just a barely negative result. So just keep that on your table. It's tough to believe given the fact that we get things just rocking to the upside and all-time highs again for it seems like every index out there. But I wanted to run through a quick rundown of the top 7, not 7, but some of the major ETF segments so you can get a good idea as to what's really powering this. We saw a nice about face for energy, but I'll run through these numbers right now for you. Hopefully they're all in order because I did them kind of last minute, as of course I'm struggling. So August 2021, here's your final numbers. Now, the S&P finished the month up 3.2%, but what's interesting is financials were a real underperformer the previous month. Now, all of a sudden, they ripped and had the biggest gain, up 5.12%. You can see communications up 4%, technology 3.9%, and then everything else underperforming the S&P, surprisingly. So really, the technology side, because it's so heavily weighted in S&P and also in NASDAQ, bringing up the index overall. So you had materials, utilities, and healthcare. Materials and utilities, about 3%. Healthcare, 2. Real estate, 2.17. Industrials, 1.8. Discretionaries and staples coming in about 1.9%. And then S&P, the one loser out of this entire segment I have here, is energy at negative 1.27%. Yep, and Big Eb says, but that's what they said about August being the second worst. Well, I think it might actually be October, but you're right. You know, we have these statistics and market analysis that's been done over time, and obviously trends tend to change. I mean, no one would have expected it to be this long of a prolonged rally for the S&P 500 and the other indexes, but as they say, everything works until it doesn't. So it's not to say that, hey, September is a bad month, load the boat short, or the sell in May and go away phenomenon, or just buy because Santa Claus rally is coming. Hey, thank you so much, Jay. Appreciate that. What's the best way to gift Bitcoin? My sister was getting married, and I want to give them some as a gift. I would do a paper wallet. And what I would personally do is I would give them the paper wallet, and I would make a copy of it and keep one for myself just in case she managed to lose that private key. Because remember, if you lose that paper wallet or gets damaged in any way, it's gone forever. And I can show you, Jay, if you want me to show you how to do the paper wallet, I can show you a nice little secret way to do it, that you keep your privacy intact, which is one of the main concerns with private keys and creating paper wallets. So thank you for the contribution, Jay. I definitely appreciate that. Cheers to you, my friend. So any real takeaways from this market behavior? Not really. I mean, I think it goes back to what Big Ed was just talking about. You know, you have these market mantras for a reason, and everything works until it doesn't. So we can go into it with a bias, right? A little bit of a bias to the short side, but still, and the markets are still trending up. You know, I'm almost stopped out of my positions on on Nasdaq. S&P, I'm still got a little room to go, but I'm real close to being taken out of my my Nasdaq, which just keeps making all-time highs from a dollar percentage amount. That was my monetary stop loss. So it's tough. You know, I really didn't think we'd keep seeing these big moves up, but there's an old phrase, I don't remember who coined it. I want to give Buffett credit, but I don't think he coined this one, which is when there's blood in the streets, you know, that's when you want to be a buyer. And I think it's the other way around as well, when you know everybody is throwing caution to the wind, and right now it just seems like they're buying things with reckless abandon. Bad news just gets swept under the rug, doesn't matter because the Fed's going to bail you out. And that to me is the time when you should be a seller, because when everyone's buying, your cost to go short or to buy puts is cheap, but also nobody else is doing it. So you're going to get really easy fills, etc. But boy, it just keeps on going. Hopefully I'm short when this thing just rips to the south side and we see some big losses. Crypto is killing it, waiting for a dip on Solana to add more, but not sure if that's going to happen now. You know, it's funny. I actually, in the CIL program today, and thank you, Josh. I appreciate that you enjoy the crypto program. It's fun. You know, it's kind of uncharted waters for me in building a complete educational program around crypto for Online Trading Academy, but that's what we did. You know, there's definitely some room for improvement, but I'm learning every day, and a lot of feedback from the students has been great. So thank you for that input. I enjoy it a lot. XX, going to Big Eb here. That was part of today's lesson. Actually, I have a stop order. I just put in a stop order on my Solana because if you look at the price chart of Solana, how much it has moved in such a short window of time. You know, normally, again, when things move that fast, they go parabolic, there's usually a pullback. There's usually a moment where you go, okay, people are going to start taking profit. So before I show you that, which one did you guys like better? I used to do white charts, but I had a couple people comment over the week that, hey, how about you switch to black charts? I really don't care personally. It's whatever you guys feel best with. I guess we're a democracy, so you guys can tell me whether you like the black charts or the white charts better. Personally, you know, over the years, I've always used white charts because they're brighter and they keep me awake, but also I've been told that they kind of burn your eyes a little bit and wear them down, and of course my eyes are totally screwed, so I guess it doesn't really matter at this point, but I'm happy to use whichever one you guys like, either this black chart or I think, let me see if I can go in here and switch it to white real quick. Of course, now I forgot exactly where I did it. There we go. It's right. Dark color theme. Here is the white layout. So I'm going to just leave this up for a second just so you guys can tell me which ones you like. I don't see anybody commenting or putting any inputs, so you're probably like me and just really don't care. Just show me the charts, right? All right. Well, you guys let me know. I know. Hey, I'm democratic out here. I'm democratic until it comes involved to inviting one person on this program, and then I'm a total dictatorship, and that person will never be on the program. All right. Oh, yes. Was it Rothschild? Byron, there's blood in the streets? Yeah, I think you can flip it and say sell when everyone's euphoric, you know. All right, so nobody cares on the white versus black? Done. I'll just drink another sip of whiskey and keep on going. All right, so Solana was the talk. Mike is the only one who responded. He likes white. White it is, Mike. You're a voting booth of one. Let's see. So I've got Solana on here. I actually put a stop loss in. My stop loss right now is at 39.50. I did that in the CIL this morning. And the main reason I did that is, look at this move. It may not look like that big of a percentage. Thanks, Mike. But you add up this percentage, and I'll show you. I mean, I'm in from 30, which is right there. You know, right now, this position is up 392% for me in like a month, 5 weeks. You know, anytime I'm in something that moves that much in that short window of time, I'm really inclined to either take all the money off the table or put a trail stop on it or just a hard stop. So I have a stop loss on it. I'll put the line on here right where my stop loss is, which is, let me just get the exact number for you. I may have been executed, or I got to check on Kraken, 139.50. So that's where my stop loss is, and I put that in this morning. I can actually tell you if I got stopped out. So we'll go to a 15-minute time frame. Oh, yeah, I'm probably out. You can see the way it bounced down here. I'm probably out right now, which I'm totally fine with, right? Because I believe, like Big Ed, that this thing is going to have a bit of a correction. And you can see I've got a couple levels mapped out here where I'm potentially thinking about maybe jumping back in Solana. So, yeah, I agree. I think that it's probably going to continue up. This whole segment, and this is part of the discussion we had in the CIL, was really comparing, and I'm not going to do that here, guys. So I know some people would like that, but I'm not going to go into that comparative analysis. But looking at kind of the relative strength between Solana, Cardano, Polkadot, and Ethereum and others, saying which one might be the lead dog there. And this one just looks like it got a little too far ahead of itself, Solana, and certainly the development of the ecosystem has been great, but I'm locking in profits on that one. And Litecoin's another good one. We saw Litecoin really take off today too. It's one of the big movers. Boom! Nice breakout trade. And we had that one mapped out on here a while back. So great moves, great for the crypto space. As you guys can see, I think I have the total market cap. You could see just huge increase. We've pretty much doubled the entire market cap of cryptocurrency in just over 1 month. So all in all, great move out there in the crypto space. So pretty excited about that. All right, what else do I have here? I'm going to go through a few things that are current issues. Lee asked, can you comment on the payment of order flow controversy? I don't get what the big deal is. You guys may have heard several prominent people talking about this, as well as, the chairman of the SEC looking at this, as well as other regulators. And it's funny because this is something that, for me, payment of order flow has been around since as long as I've been in trading. It's just part of the game. However, I've always felt it creates a rigged market. I felt it creates a competitive advantage for anybody who's buying order flow. And one of the things I noticed years ago was how easy it was to manipulate this. So for example, right now we have a market that has, for the most part on stocks, a 1 penny spread. You have a 1 or 2 cent spread on just about every stock out there, unless it's so illiquid that there's just no liquidity. Then you're going to get wider spreads. But for the most part, 1, 2, maybe 3 cents. Maybe on some of these really expensive ones, you're going to get, bigger than that. But they generally are fairly small percentage-wise. That's because we've had so much competition. Now, I'll give you a story, and I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was a full $1. I remember that. I was on the phone with E-Trade back in it was either 98 or 99, and I just deposited some money, and I said, hey, I want to buy 1,000 shares of Exodus, EXDS. And I was looking at hey Tony, good to see you. I was looking at the order book so I could see all the buyers and sellers lined up, all right? So I knew where I was going to get filled. And E-Trade sold their order flow to somebody else. And I forget the name of the market maker, it was so long ago, but same thing Robinhood is doing, same thing a lot of firms are doing, are selling their order flow to other institutions, right? They're getting paid for that, which is why you're getting free commissions. So back then, and I'll call it 98, I was on the phone with the trade desk going, hey, my money hasn't shown up in my account yet. What's the deal? I want to buy some stuff. And they said, oh, it's here, just hasn't updated electronically. Is there something I can help you with? I said, yeah, buy me 1,000 shares of Exodus Communications. And I'm writing the numbers down. At the time, it was like, $37 was the inside ask price, right? 37 is the inside ask, meaning that's what I could buy it at right now. And there were plenty of shares. There were thousands of shares there. So I'm on the phone with her, and she says, limit or market? I'm like, market. I can see it. I know what I'm going to get. I'm going to get $37, right? So she hesitates for a second. She goes, okay, I got you 200 shares at $37.25. And right away I was like, whoa. You're already 25 cents higher than market. The inside bid is still showing $37, and you quoted me 25 cents higher. And then she's like, oh, and I got you, another 100 at 37.5, and then I got you the remainder of it, your 300 or 700 shares at $38.25. And I was like, no effing way. Of course, my language got real colorful at that point. She was kind of taken back and thought that I was being rude. And I'm like, you're freaking stealing from me. You literally stole $1,000 from me. And I'm looking at the market. It hasn't moved. It's still $37 on the inside bid, or inside ask, excuse me. So this was an example of them selling order flow. Now, the rules have changed, right? They're not allowed to go outside of the inside market anymore, but who's going to track all this? There's millions of transactions per day. There's no way that these firms are going to track all that. The SEC is going to, track it, monitor it, and make sure nobody gets slipped or insider trading happens and front runs your order flow. So, we make fun of the Robinhood traders all the time, and good for them, bless their hearts for thinking that they're actually really traders, because they're trading on a system where their orders are sold to somebody else. And here they are thinking, oh, well, I don't have to pay commissions. Yeah, I'm sticking it to the man. Yeah, I got power now. No, you're being sold to the man. You're literally being sold to the man who's looking at your orders going, yeah, that one's going down. Okay, I'll sell it to him. Or, okay, this one looks like it's going up to me. I'll back away my price a little bit, even if it's a couple pennies. Your commission costs that you would have worried about before, just pay the commission, right? I'm fine to pay commissions if I know exactly where my orders are going to be going. So, Lee, the order flow controversy, what's going to happen here, and I think it's right. I think that the SEC should step in and say, well, let's slap some rules around order flow. And if it does start to, let's say you can't sell order flow anymore, you'll see some businesses seriously disrupted. E-Trade, Charles Schwab, Robinhood. These companies are like, well, what the hell do we do now? I've got all these orders. I'm not a broker. I can't go directly to the exchange myself. My whole model is selling order flow. That's how I make my money. So if the SEC comes in and really clamps down on it, you'll see stocks like Robinhood, go look at their share price. You'll see them tank, right? You'll see a lot of them. So let me go bring up Robinhood here just so we can kind of have fun with that one. All right, here's Hood. You got the old Robinhood. Well, not looking so good in the hood. We were up at 85, and now all of a sudden we're down at 44. Got to love a nice 50% haircut on that one. But that trend to me will probably continue. If sale of order flow makes it to the top of the plate for the SEC, Robinhood's dead. They might reinvent themselves somehow. They're going to have to create a broker-dealer license. They probably already have one, but they have to change their infrastructure because this is not their model. Their model is sell order flow. And there's a lot of other firms out there, Webull as well. It's an easy model to do because companies like Citadel or other major derivatives exchanges or just market makers, they love your order flow. It tells them where you think things are going and they can bet against it. That's sad. Order flow is where they make the money these days for commissions free. Yeah, right. And if you don't sell order flow, they can't charge you, they can't give you free commissions, right? There's cost to make executions. It's not free to go to an exchange and make a trade, right? It's even though you're going through something like Robinhood, they still have to pay an execution fee, an exchange fee. Granted, it's going to be rather small, but those fees are going to add up. Lufthansa says, I have TradeStation. Well, you're doing better because TradeStation's direct access, right? You're going straight to the exchange, no intermediaries. You see the price that you're going to buy or sell at. That's what direct access trading is all about, right? It's just a much faster, fairer, efficient playing field. But if you look at something like an E-Trade or Ameritrade or Robinhood, those aren't direct access, right? Those are playing fields that are completely stacked in favor of the house, and the house usually doesn't lose. Still today, when platforms die, freeze, login freeze is the same. Well, I mean, it's funny when things get going too fast, you'll see them freeze up as well. Right? When they freeze up, you're normally, and they always freeze up when the markets are going haywire. And of course, to me, they always use the excuse of, oh yeah, that's just, our systems can't handle this kind of volume. They're probably saying, well, let's slow things down a little bit so we can send your orders off and make more money off them. So, Lee, that's my take on it. I think that they should do away with the sale of order flow. I think that would be better for the markets because it'd be more transparent. You would know where exactly orders are going. Now, of course, businesses will have to adjust. It's just adaptation. Now, given the fact there's so much money behind companies like E-Trade and Ameritrade and Schwab and Robinhood, my guess is nothing will happen. It'll just come to the top of the table and then, no big deal. Merlin, have you any interest in psychedelic equities? I haven't, but I mean, it's not that I don't have interest. Hell, I was at a fish show all weekend. You think I'm not familiar with psychedelics? Not for me personally, but boy, talk about some fun, happy, smiley people over there. Holy cow, a whole weekend of them. As far as psychedelics go, yeah, PSY, I'll bring up that chart for everybody. There are a couple others in this space. You could go individual securities, but I think if you look at something like PSY, this is an interesting play to get into this space. Now, I'm sure some of you think psychedelics and you're thinking, great, I got Grateful Dead, hippies that don't shower for months on end, just bad. That's not what we're talking about here. This is, using psychedelics for medicinal purposes. And there is a tremendous amount of evidence that shows that certain usage of psychedelics can help with depression, anxiety, fixing relationships, emotions. I mean, it's very interesting. In a controlled environment, when you take away, easy, Chris, don't be telling any stories about me. When you look at recreational, yeah, of course, that's crazy. I mean, what I was experiencing with these guys, obviously at fish concerts, but it can be any real concert. Usually, there's a whole bunch of people on different. We'll just say a whole plethora, a pharmacy of different drugs. It is what it is, but there's no real benefit there other than, hey, I'm having a good time and lights are flashing and it looks really cool. But you start to use it for medicinal stuff, and some of the papers I've read on microdosing with mushrooms, the amount that it helps with depression, suicidal thoughts, and things like that it's unprecedented how much it helps. So I absolutely think that they should be using it, and I think in a controlled medicinal environment, good. Recreationally, look, people can get hurt doing that stuff, but yeah, mental illness, especially the depression side. I mean, it's really kind of sad if you look at some of, I don't know if you guys know, but Robin Williams was my babysitter when I was a kid. And when he committed suicide, it was just like, I was so angry. I was really frustrated at it. I'm like, why the hell? Well, you're on top of the world. You're one of the funniest people on the planet. It seems like you got everything going on with you. But the truth of the matter is you just don't know. You don't know. I mean, any one of you guys right now might actually be suffering from depression and having crazy wild thoughts. And, I think someone who has a moment of weakness and succumbs to those thoughts, unfortunately, it's a permanent end. If we can use some of these pharmaceuticals to, whether it's psychedelics, I'd rather get away from Big Pharma because I think Big Pharma is the biggest organized crime syndicate in the world next to government. Then I'm all for it. If I can find healthy ways to heal people and make it better. I mean, I kind of understood after I started having some real bad anxiety what was going on in Robin Williams' faces or in his head. But, All right. Anyway, yeah, we go down that rabbit hole. But yes, I'm for it. I haven't bought into it. Technically, let's take a peek at that chart. I mean, right now it's good. I mean, right now you're seeing a nice little bounce. Now, granted, it's been drifting aggressively lower from that $28 high. It hasn't been out very long. But, I think that there are some good opportunities in this one. And I don't know if this is necessarily a short-term play. I think you kind of have to have long-term because I think once we get legalized medicinal marijuana on a federal level, then this will be the next piece to fall. This will be the next, they'll start looking at psychedelics. And, the good news is if they do somewhat get it legal, we'll get more FDA research on it. Now, not that we really trust the FDA, but at least it opens up the research to federal funding. Right now psychedelics aren't going to be getting federal funding for discovery and research and testing to see what they really are. You're relying on outside parties, which, make the process more challenging and time consuming. But as soon as the federal stuff steps in, yeah. I mean, just think of all the people right now. I don't have the statistics in front of me. I'm sure some of you probably pulled it faster. The number of people in the United States alone suffering from depression or hooked on some ridiculous freaking pharmaceutical drug that you can never get off of. It's huge. Don't worry about COVID. Worry about the guy who's got massive depression and all of a sudden loses his mind and does crazy, stupid things. I'm more fearful of that than I am from COVID. Okay. Sorry. It's a rant. We're supposed to do rants, guys. It's Friday. I'm supposed to be happy and drinking whiskey over here. Let's see. What else we were going to talk about? There was one other question that came in from a viewer, and that was, we commented on order flow controversy. And I don't know if it's necessarily a controversy, Lee. I just think it's the establishment kind of getting caught with their pants down. And the moment that the Wall Street Bets Reddit thing happened, the world saw much more clearly what was going on. I mean, I've known this for years. If you're an online trading academy graduate and student, order flow is being sold. No big deal. That's why we go direct access and make sure we control our own order flow. So not a controversy if you understand the markets. It's a controversy for people who are just getting into it. So there you go. Let's see. Ethan, how about GE after the split? Where do you see it going? Oh, no. GE. Boy, I haven't even looked at it. GE. I think they split July, I want to say 30th. So I think they split about a month ago. Let me go GE. Should show on here. Oh, there it is right there. So there's your S at the bottom. Nice thing about TradingView, you get the nice little split right there. Let's see. Well, where do I think GE is going? I'm gonna let the audience answer this one. Anybody? What do you think? I mean, look at this price of GE. Here's your daily chart of it. I mean, do you think it's going anywhere? Granted, you did have an 8-for-1 reverse split, right? So for every 8 shares you had, you now have 1 share, which would really freak a lot of you out, I'm sure, if you looked at your statements and saw all of a sudden your position disappeared. But look at where's this thing going? It's going sideways. I don't see anything really exciting happening here at all with GE. I would most likely just leave it alone until you get some sense of clear direction. Right now, it's just chopping sideways between 96 and 116. Now, granted, that's a $20 range. That's a pretty big range. But right now, you're in the middle of the range. Yeah, going nowhere, Big Eb. I agree. Just kind of floundering sideways. So that's where I see it going. Who was that? Ethan? Not really that good. Find something else that's got a better trend to it. Even check. Buy the NASDAQ. Look at this trend. I'm bought puts on this one right there, and it just ripped back up. Still looking strong, although we've had kind of 3-4 sideways action days. It's still looking strong. Here's your S&P on the day. I mean, you want to buy something that's giving you probability of markets moving up. This is what you buy, right? Just go long and market index. The trend is your friend. You go and look at something like GE. You buy this thing, and you can be sitting in it for another year and be like, oh, it's gone nowhere. All right, so find something that's moving. And now here's your Dow. Dow's moving, but still a little slower. Actually looking a little weak. Here's your Russell, which is down 0.5% today. Hey, where are we? We're right back in the middle of the range. Hey, Richard. Good to have you. I haven't looked at it yet. I'll check it out right now for you. And then, Zach, I'll get to your DG. All right. Yeah, so it's funny. This yellow box, guys, how long ago did we put this box on here? I mean, I put it after it traveled, probably in April, I think I put this box on. It's been just stuck in the middle of the range. So let me do Bitcoin real quick, just because that's timely. You know, we're in an area right now where I expected Bitcoin to stall. I kind of thought it would have a challenge at 50 because it's the origin of this big gap that came back all the way to May 14th. But it's been getting stronger. It feels like it's getting a footing underneath it. You're starting to see some positive stuff. I do think that you're going to see regulatory approval for Bitcoin ETFs. Now, that's to be determined whether those ETFs will be backed by futures or physical Bitcoin. But I think you'll see that happen probably before the end of the year. And I think that's another big catalyst for something like Bitcoin. And I really do think these all-time highs will be achieved very quickly after that approval happens. So, yeah, I'm with you, Big Eb. My puts did not work out so well. I've got November, so I got a little bit more time. So it really isn't hurting me too bad right now because I have a lot of time value in it. But Mario says, can you talk about USD? Sure. We'll talk about the dollar, which is interestingly enough, right at a demand zone. Gotta love it. All right, so let me go to, I saw that Richard here wanted oil, so let's check out crude oil. Here's your CL. It actually broke a little bit above where I thought it was. I thought we'd stall. You guys can see these old lines I have here. I was expecting it to stall at that 69 mark. It did. It hit it and fell aggressively, but the last 2 days it really popped it back up. You know, you could make an argument long or short here. To me, I'm just looking at the macro pieces. I didn't see any real big statements from OPEC with regards to production. So my expectation would be here that this thing will slowly continue to drift down. Although, remember my thesis or my hypothesis was that the supply increases by OPEC about a month and a half ago, that should have alleviated and helped with the price of oil. However, you had also a situation, as you guys know, where there was a big talk track that we were going to see the Delta variant shut down businesses again. And if that happened, you got people not driving, you have oil, so you have demand decrease, you have supply increase. It really spoke to the price of crude oil dropping. That said, I'm not seeing as aggressive of a talk track of, hey, Delta variant, let's go into lockdown mode, especially out here in California. It's funny, in Northern California, everyone's wearing masks. Down here in Southern California, nobody's wearing masks. Very different. But my thought is that we would see oil continue to drift down from the highs that we saw back in July, because it has been making lower highs, lower lows. But what's interesting, we're literally Thursday and Friday's action kind of makes me question. I mean, I don't know. If you had to put a gun to my head, I would say we're going to be going down. But Thursday's price action really kind of changed things a little bit because it went through some overhead supply. Not the strongest supply, but still went through it. And now it looks like if we can hold it, we'll be challenging the 74 mark. But my gut tells me we're going to be drifting down on crude oil. So there you go, Richard. That's just my 2 cents. You know, I'm not a financial advisor, but as a trader, those are my opinions on it. All right, what was the other one I saw there? Zach. Good to see you, Zach. Hope you had a great week. Here's DG, Dollar General. After their earnings, a little bit of a drop. Here is DG, Dollar General. Now, all in all, you can see their earnings, which right here with this big drop down, and then it rallied up and started to fill the gap. didn't see the numbers. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe it even tells me here. Let's see if this happened. Oh, look at that. That's nice. The estimate was 262, and they came out at 269. So they were almost 3% higher than expectation, and they still dropped significantly. So don't know what was said at that press conference afterwards from the powers that be at Dollar General. From a technical perspective, it still looks good. It looks like it just came, a pullback in the bigger trend. The last week or so really is hard to trade that, right? It doesn't really have any strong supply or demand zones for me to go off of. Really, the only levels that I'd be kind of interested in to be down around 212 from a buying perspective. And obviously, my bias right now would be that it's going to close this gap. Hey, Adam. Yeah, all's been great. Life is good. I'm on the wrong side of the dirt, so love it. There you go. Anytime we can go out and enjoy life, see family and friends, and get to go play with the dog and loved ones, it's good. Life is good. Hope you can do too. Hope you did too. Let's see. Big Eb. I love this one. Yeah, Gensler compared crypto to the internet in the 1990s. I think you did as well before him. I did. It's kind of funny. I've been making that analysis. And, the thing that Gensler was talking about, he says, look, we messed up because we didn't really put as much we didn't control it as much. I think he said something like that. We didn't control it as much, and we're not going to make that mistake this time, which makes me a little bit nervous because that means you're going to start to see more regulation on the crypto space. But again, I think regulation is it's like a tachometer. At one extreme, it's really bad. If they overdo regulation and really tax the heck out of it and really try to shut it down, that's going to thwart innovation. But if we kind of come somewhere in the middle, or maybe on the slightly lax side, but they tighten up just a little bit, then that brings the acceptance. I talked about it today in the Crypto Investor Live program. One of my big things is what's going to happen with the SEC versus Ripple. And if that comes out that they declare Ripple to be a security, then you have to ask the question, does that give me SIPC insurance? If it does, well, then that's a game changer, right? Because now you can own cryptocurrencies and get federal protection on your accounts. That would be an absolute, you'll see so much institutional money come in at that time, but that's a fight we got to worry about a little bit further down the road. So, no problem, Zach. DG, I like it. I think you're going to fill the gap on this one. So I think you'll probably see some upside moves here on Dollar General, but it's not the best looking chart, right? There's nothing really actionable in this sideways chop that we've had for about the last 7 or 8 days. What else did I see in here? How about Fib? Oh, Facebook. Thoughts and strategy for a stop or trailing stop to take some profits. Sure, FB. There's a lot of different ways you can measure your stops on this one, Catherine. And one of the easy things to do is you just simply look for supplier demand zones and you map those zones out and you say, okay, I'm going to put stops below those demand zones. So, it really depends on how aggressive you are and how you draw your zones, right? Is there one right here, the bottom of this demand zone right around, let's call it 360, 350, right? There's one. Is that your stop point? Or is it, for me, I would probably do a little bit lower, give it some room to move, which would maybe be around the 346 mark. So I look at this as it's been making higher highs and higher lows. Therefore, you put your stop below one of the most recent lows as a hard stop. Or you could trail stop it. Or you could do something like this, which a lot of people love to do. And notice how tightly this has been hugging that 50-period moving average. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I just threw a blue line on your chart. That's the 50-period moving average. And notice that it has not broken that since March of this year. And every time it comes down to it, what does it do? It bounces back up. That's perfect, right? I would probably just stick to the 50-period moving average. And if we see the 50-period moving average a close below that, then just close your Facebook position, Catherine. That's probably the easiest thing. Now, the only challenge is there you have to watch it, right? What you can do is you can go to these platforms and do something like this. You double click on this and, oops, there's an alert right here. So you can add an alert and you can say Fibonacci, even in the extended hours, crosses, and you can add in below your moving average. So you can say, and I would put this one, once per bar close, boom, done. So now it'll send me an email or pop up if Facebook closes for 1 bar down below this chart on this 50-period moving average. I'm not going to save it because it'll pop up, but that's the easy way, right? Is just to create an alert. I think a 50-period moving average is probably the best way to go here, just because look how perfectly it's been hitting. And one of my good buddies years ago, he used to take this number and let's say it's 50. I'm gonna pick another security here. Let's go to the Nasdaq. Let's see, something that might have a little bit better relationship. So there's your 50 crude oil. That's a horrible one. He would take the configuration of the moving average. What I mean by that is he would take the 50-period moving average, and he would just simply keep changing it until it fit the chart perfectly. And this, to me, is pretty much a perfect fit that you see with the 50 on Facebook. So I would just leave it alone. I would let the Facebook one go with a 50-period moving average, and if it ends up closing down below that blue line, then I would get out of my position. Catherine, that work for you? Oh, nice. Selling a little pay tax. Well, you can also do, if you own it, you could also be selling some covered calls. All right, generate some more premium. This thing looks like it's moving up. You could go out there and sell the 390s and collect some premium. If it gets above 390, yeah, you get rid of it. All right, you were thinking of selling it anyway. So why not just collect a little bit of extra premium on that? And if it falls to a certain point, you could also close out your position or close out those options and then stop loss your position. So pretty easy. A lot of things you can do. I think the option side piece gets you a little bit of extra money on that one, which of course is pretty exciting to get some more money. Let's see, what else do we got? They're really written near the end. I still have 3/4 of a glass of fine Hibiki Suntory whiskey. Definitely pretty tasty stuff here. I'm so used to bourbon. This is a nice, refreshing change. Okay, as far as earnings next week, there was really nothing today that made any noteworthy difference. Monday, you really got nothing going on. But midweek next week, there are a couple. You've got GameStop, which, of course, you've been following GameStop, GME. To me, it's honestly, it's a miracle that it's still up at $200. This doesn't really make any sense to me. But, you had that slow drift down from 350. It was drifting down to 150, popped back up. My guess is this will be the next drift down. But their earnings are coming up. If they were smart, and I'm pretty sure they were, they will, 3, 4. No, 3 and 4. No. We're not doing a 2-hour show. No way. If their earnings come out and those people were smart, what they would have done is paid off a lot of their debt with the shares of GME. For those that may not have followed, GameStop was this floundering little stock down here trading at $30 or $20, all right? And then all of a sudden it jumps to 40, and then all of a sudden it jumped all the way up to 475 and change, almost $500. If I'm one of the executives there, I'm basically selling and I'm cashing out some of our treasury of shares, and I am paying off as much of my corporate debt as possible. I might even be able to get myself debt-free on this one, and I'd like to see what the transition was on their financial statement, because if they cleared out a lot of their debt, that puts them in a much stronger position and may justify a higher price than 20, but I still don't think it justifies a $200 share price. But anyway, their earnings come out next week. You also have Lululemon. I know all of you ladies love your Lululemon. All of you men, since it's been COVID, I'm sure you love your Lululemon as well, but now that you got to go out in public, you can't admit it, so that's all right. Closet Lululemon lovers. So here is a similar situation that we just looked at for Karen with Facebook, right? You have the 50-period moving average here. It hasn't closed below it since June, and all of a sudden, yesterday, it closed below that 50-period moving average. Okay, fine, dump it. We could also look at something like this. Draw my little yellow box and, call that your range, and if it gets a close outside of that, dump it. Right now you're at the bottom. So, it's kind of conflicting. Yes, you're below your 50-period moving average on Lululemon, but it's also the bottom end of that range. So you could have a buy point here. Again, it's all about having risk management, because either one of those, if you made an argument to me that this is a buy point because it's coming into that lower demand, I'd agree with you. If you said, hey, I'm selling it because it's going to go below it close below the 50-period moving average, I would agree with you. And all that matters, one of those is going to be right. Absolutely. One of those will be right. Just make sure you have the stop loss and risk management in place. So if you are wrong, big deal, no biggie. Big X, Lululemon is the best part of my gym. Yeah, given some of the people that were wearing Lululemon at my gym, it was not the best part of the gym. Remarkably, there was you guys remember the controversy. Lululemon actually had one of their styles was so thin. It looked fine if you were not stretching it out, but as soon as they you would bend over or really stretch it, it was like looking through a mirror. Not good at my gym. Really not a good thing at the gym. Just saying. All right. What else do we have for next week? It's so weird. It's like the first show I've done in about a week, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, here's what's happening next week. And then economic announcements. So on the economic front, it was kind of interesting. Some of the numbers that came out today were decent, and some were not so good. Of course, the unemployment rate was the main one that came out, right? And I'll bring up some numbers here so you guys can see those. Here, or 1 second, my mouse is giving me what's going on strike. Here is the numbers for today. You'll notice that average hourly earnings significantly higher. That's actually a pretty big beat. That's good to know. People are making more money. Now, of course, this needs to tie into personal income and spending to see how much they're actually getting of that earnings, as well as how much that they're spending. But what was interesting here is non-farm employment change. This was really bad. This means that the previous month there was 1 million new jobs created. They expected to be 720,000 jobs. It came out at 235,000. So while, yes, there is more job creation, it's nowhere near the accelerated or the anticipated number. So that was not a good thing. And also, the unemployment rate came out today, 5.2%, perfectly in line with expectations. The U.S. is pretty heavy with data today. You also saw some services numbers. which were pretty much in line with expectation. The only other one that jumped out at me was the retail sales numbers. You can see Euro, they were expecting a 0, meaning we're not growing, we're not contracting. They came out at negative 2.3%, which is not good. That's actually showing some more contraction than they wanted. So let me show you some currency stuff here. I think I saw a question about the dollar. Of course, you know the euro is pretty much the inverse of the Dixie. Here you have the dollar index coming right into an area of demand. I don't know, this zone should be a little smaller. I don't know why it's there, so I will go. That's where that zone should be. I'm not sure why. Who drew this zone? Who's drawing yellow boxes on my screen? Funny, I can't. Huh. All right. I want to adjust the size of this box, but it's not letting me do it. All right. Well, never mind. You know, you're right into an area of demand on this U.S. dollar. So let me do it better. Boom. You know, this to me is a nice bounce point, and this is kind of one of the points I was trying to make at in the CIL today. We were actually looking as I close out my Solana, like what am I going to go into? And it was either go into the US dollar, which looks like it's coming into an area of demand, potentially buy into that one. I could have gone into the dollar. I could have gone into the Australian dollar, which is doing great. But you guys notice this Aussie, while it's been ripping for the past 2 weeks, there are some supply zones coming up here which could, you know, deter this trajectory, even though it did break above its 50-period moving average here as well. Yeah, the Canadian dollar, which is also looking decent, but it came right into an area of supply. The British pound also in an area of supply, and the euro, shooting star, into an area of supply. So I decided to convert my Solana into USD, not a foreign currency. But that's one of the nice things about crypto now is I can choose which currency I want to go into with a lot of these different stable coins. To me, it's a great resource. Other than that, not much to go on. I think we did answer that question about the dollar index. I like it. I think you're going to see the dollar pop here, even though we're well extended below this 50-period moving average. You guys, we could put on any indicator here. You can see I have Bollinger Bands. So let's see. What would Bollinger Bands tell us right now? It's probably going to be just outside that lower Bollinger Band. And survey says, oh, look at that. Just outside the lower Bollinger Band. Shocker. No big deal. So I've got an oversold oversold dollar into an area of demand, higher probability this thing's going to bounce to the upside. Therefore, I am going long on the dollar. Cool. What other questions you guys got? Oh, I got it's 2:43 already. As I take a sip of this whiskey and decide to wrap things up, what questions you guys have for me today? Did you miss me? I missed you guys. I actually love doing this show every day, so. Cool. Well, I guess that is going to do it for me. You know, one of the things I like to use, and I've shown you this on, I think it's called stockcharts.com, is this is one of the comparison pieces. This is actually done through TradeStation. And this is kind of where I'm pulling those market indexes. And you can see that middle of August, man, energy was just getting slaughtered. And then luckily, almost everything has rallied back up here. You have seen a pretty sharp decline here in your best performer, which is financials. But still, it's up 5% for the month. So all in all, pretty darn good. All right, everybody, if you don't have any questions, I'm going to wrap things up. I'm going to go probably lay down and take a nap, finish my glass of whiskey, maybe go out and enjoy some beautiful sunshine here in SoCal. Look at the clock every day. Oh, Gary, thank you. I did too, but I wasn't around enough technology to broadcast this show live. Cool, man. Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad I could come back and have some fun. And again, Landis, also known as Kim, thank you so much for the hibiki. Love it. I really do appreciate it. It's very nice of you. I know that wasn't a cheap bottle of whiskey there, especially coming all the way from Singapore. So thank you so much. All right, one last one. Richard wants to know Netflix. I'll look at NFLX. We'll look at Netflix, and then we'll wrap things up. Oh, boy. Looking good. Ripping to the upside. Now, notice right where you're at. You're right at its all-time high. Boy, does that mean we start shorting here? Does that mean you start buying some puts on this one? Netflix really spiking up after their earnings. I don't think their earnings were that great. You can see right back here, the response to earnings wasn't any big deal. Sold off a little bit actually, and traversed sideways for 2 weeks and then just off to the races. $5.95 right now. You're at all-time highs, just kissing all-time highs. I don't know. That's a tough one, Richard. I would wait and see. I don't jump on things that are all-time highs. It's just a matter of principle. So there's no way you'd catch me buying right now. But maybe I would be selling some, 450 or 550 puts. Maybe even the 520 puts. Maybe I'd be buying some puts outright. Betting this thing's going to drop back down. All right, that's going to do it for me, everybody. Thank you so much. Glad you joined us for the rest of the pack. Remember, no show on Monday because we got a holiday. Hope you go out and do something great and exciting. You spend some time with family and friends. And then we're back to regular schedule on Tuesday. So thanks, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend. If you like the show, thumbs up. Click that subscribe button. All the different things that social media influencers are supposed to tell you to do and shove down your throat to click this and sign up for that, blah, 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 blah. There you go. Yes, I saw the Zoom pounding. Pound Zoom. Yes, get rid of Zoom. Anyway, get emails. Email me at TraderMerlin@gmail.com. That's the easiest way to get in touch with me. I will see you guys on Tuesday. And for those of you, I'll see you Tuesday evening for the Crypto Investor Live from 6 to 8 p.m. Take care, everybody. See you next week.